If you are ready.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep,
So
Piyush.
before starting, I would like to give a brief introduction of Jitendra sir present over here with us. So Jitendra Singh Rajput is a person who have 18 plus years of work experience in strategic design marketing management, and he has joined NID, that is National Institute of Design, since 2010, and he has been working there as a senior faculty from 2013, and we will be very helpful by the session of this B plan, which is going to be presented by Jitendra sir. And after this, I think surely we can make great progress in our business plan, and the student will be very much helpful for the for spending their further revenues and other things. So without any delay, I'm handing over my mic to Jitendra sir. You can continue, sir.
Yep. Thank you, Piyush. Shall we start? I think everybody's here.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you for the introduction. Uh, I'll briefly talk about what I do, so that I'll be able to help in terms of building some context and some relevance here. I'm part of Strategic Design Management program, which is a master's program. I'm part of this program as a faculty. I lead this department, which is a 2.5 year program at NID. It's a master's program which looks into application of design in domain beyond the conventional one. So we all know product design, communication design, graphic design, textile design, automotive design. These are very common and very established sort of like programs. So my program basically looks into application of design beyond these material or maybe communication related disciplines. So basically we look into business strategies, we look into policy design, we look into market and related user research. We extensively look into service design as well as a outcome of uh, business. So that way, there are a lot of like domains which are being taken care by us, and our students work with organizations which are ranging from consultancy firms, FMCG firms, IT firms in terms of research and new business development. They work with traditional industries as well as fintech organizations. So that way, it's a wide spectrum where design can be applied. And yeah, this is almost like 15, 16-year-old program and doing really good in terms of taking design beyond. Why I'm talking about this is because design is not limited to the aesthetics, creative part of doing some physical materials or physical activities, but it has a very deeper sort of like role in the area of business activities. So if you talk about business research or you talk about business sort of like operations, design definitely works there. And possibly many of you can possibly, if by learning, by understanding application of design, will be able to make use of design in different domains of businesses. So that is the larger idea. From this experience, I'm going to talk about how we can possibly look into the business plan making from a design perspective, from a very creative perspective. I would not say design very specifically, but very creative perspective. How we can possibly look into the domain of business plan making and how it can possibly help us, our startups to go forward to present to the prospective sort of like users of business plan and create some sort of like impact for our startups. So I'll be sharing my screen. Just let me know if you can, if you're able to see this. So is it visible to you?
Yes, sir. It's visible to us.
Um, so you are able to see the designing business plan page. Yeah, I have multiple windows, so I'm not sure. I'm not able to see anything right now. Yeah.
No, sir.
I'll be sharing the slides. Yeah. All right. So on the go, I'll also talk about NID. I hope few of students are aware of NID, but those who are not aware, it's an institution almost like more than 60-year old institution, started in 1961, along with other great institutions like IIM and IITs. So the idea of design was very, very old in our context, in the Indian context. And we started much ahead of many other countries in terms of like design institutions, design education. But in the process, in the long run, I think we lost somewhere and we did not apply design in large number of like domains. The way other countries like China, Korea, Japan have taken up design and they have implemented design in different aspect of activities. But this institution comes under Ministry of Commerce and Industries and provides education in bachelor's, master's, and PhD program. Yeah. The workshop, I'm really thankful for this opportunity and to discuss, to present my idea, my view on business plan, and to have some conversation with the students groups and to understand their sort of like business ideas and how they can possibly make use of this workshop. So it's a great opportunity for me to engage. The workshop is divided in 4 days activity. The first day we will be talking about introduction to business plan. Second day, we will be focusing around writing business plan with details on structures and topics. The third and fourth day are reserved for individual group discussions, and we will be utilizing more sort of like that time for more detailed discussion on individual sort of like challenges and how we can possibly frame our business plan in right manner, and we can come up with some business plan write up which can be useful for startups and further activities. Yeah. The presentation is very simple and you can stop me in between you if you have any questions, if you have anything to discuss. I'll definitely be asking some of the questions, so you please keep responding to those questions. I'm not able to see anybody, so I hope you all are attentive when you are going through details. This I trust you, and in between, whenever you have any question, just stop me. So my first question, and if I can get some response, why we need entrepreneurs? Can we hear from the entrepreneurs who are there in the presentation? Can we have some responses?
Yeah, I'd like to say.
Yeah,
So
please.
one of the reasons we need entrepreneurs is to diminish unemployment because entrepreneurs create jobs and provide
Okay.
jobs to people who want to become employees.
Okay.
That's
Okay. So
one.
job creation is one of the very, very, I think, important agenda of entrepreneurship. But otherwise, many of you have some other idea also, like who are looking into how entrepreneurship can possibly help your career or your future prospects.
Uh, Excuse me, sir. Sorry to interrupt you, but we are actually looking at a multiple screen view of your presentation. Can you please share?
Piyush, I'm sorry, I could not hear you properly. Yeah, please.
Actually, we are looking at a multiple view window presentation. Can you reshare? Like there is a part of a speaker note, and your presentation is at one side.
Okay, both are visible right now.
Yeah,
Okay, okay, so you want me to close this and is it okay?
yeah, uh, that's better.
Is it visible now?
Yeah, sir.
Let me just close other windows also, which are my other working windows. Okay,
Thank you, sir.
yeah. Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
All right. So any other response? So otherwise, I'll quickly go through some points which are like common interest whenever we talk about entrepreneurship. Freedom and independence. A lot of people want to take up entrepreneurship because they want to be free from the job related burdens. Mostly people feel that they don't want to work under somebody. Sometimes they want to take their own decisions and they want to start something which they can control, they can possibly decide on how to take it forward. Sometimes financial potential, like a lot of time people say that, okay, this is just to earn better money. Having job has its own benefits as well as its own challenges, but definitely a better financial prospect is one of the reason. A lot of people have great passion to take up new ideas, new approaches, new sort of like ways of doing things, and for that purpose they take up entrepreneurship. It's very interesting domain where a lot of entrepreneurs come up with a lot of passionate sort of like they are passionate to take up some new ideas forward. Creativity and innovation plays a major role when it comes to driving entrepreneurs to take up new challenges, and uh, personal growth is one of the reasons, which is very common. Uh, Flexibility and work-life balance is one reason, very common reason that people want to be free from those burdens. Control over directions and sense of achievement. That is one of the very important sort of like area where they feel that by doing this, they really are able to prove something, and they feel that the impact is much, much bigger than what they could have done otherwise. Apart from this, I think there are a lot of other reasons why uh, entrepreneurship is really required. Entrepreneurs are required in our common domain. And this is how I'll come back to the point that how it is really important to see in the context of business plan development. So, better choices to customers. We provide the entrepreneurs who are coming up with new ideas are giving a lot of new choices to customers. So things which are outdated or maybe taking too much of time to change are benefiting from the entrepreneurs. They come up with new ideas and they bring in new sort of like products in the market. Very common examples are like Lenskart, bringing in cost-effective as well as very efficient sort of like products at our doorstep, and the existing specs shops are really struggling because they were having monopoly for a quite some time. So those are the possibilities which happens only when there are new sort of like ventures are there. Knowledge and skill transfer is very important area because they create new knowledge, they transfer those knowledge to others, and the overall market get benefited. And that is where entrepreneurship is required. Wealth distribution happen. A lot of people get opportunity to earn money, and because of entrepreneurs, there are new ways of like earning and employment happens. As Rishad, you mentioned that it creates a lot of jobs. It creates a lot of like avenue for people to take up activities within the domain of enterprise. It addresses a lot of social challenges, and there are good examples right now which we are seeing that they are solving our social problems by providing different type of products and services, which usually take time if we are relying on government or NGOs or maybe socially oriented organizations. It takes a lot of time, and many times the new enterprises are solving those social challenges. Many of you, I came across that many of you have taken up very interesting social challenges. So that way, entrepreneurs are really looking into those domains where we can create some good impact in the society by bringing some change. It's a community development activity. Cultural enrichment happens through new enterprises. Economic growth of society and nation. And if you have heard about the book, the Startup Nation, it talks about how Israel has been a nation on startup move. How they have been creating new sort of like innovations and have been benefiting from that. So there is a book which talks about how innovation and new startups, sort of like initiatives, have benefited the country. And at the same time, the country gets benefited in terms of global competitiveness. America is the center of like a lot of like entrepreneurial initiatives, and it is very evident that how the country has benefited from new startups. When we say startup, these are the new ideas. Again, same thing which we have talked about, that newness which is coming into the market, innovative and creative ideas, high growth potential for profitability. The scalability is much. So that is the reason that new startups are required. Startups are required, and how they benefit us. But major differentiating factor which we are realizing here in terms of like how startups and businesses are different the common businesses, the established businesses, or the traditional businesses are there. The innovation and experimentation is much higher in terms of in the domain of startups. The growth trajectory is very steep. The growth is very fast, and the way a startup transforms into a big business is very fast as compared to traditional business. The risks are high, definitely, but the gains are also very high. There are a lot of opportunities to fund them and get better results very quickly. Is the possibility with startup, which is not there with the businesses. The cultural and mindset changes are very high. The goals and missions are very different than the traditional industries, and that is how the startup benefit us in a big sort of like manner. Startups also have a lot of challenges. I'll definitely talk about this because this is one of the very important part where we have to look into how startups are performing and how possibly uh, we can work on our ideas so that we don't fail or we don't struggle too much whenever we are going forward. Most of the startups, out of all startups, almost 10% only those who succeed in a very long run. Many of startups, many of new products which are launched every year, out of almost 30,000 products which are launched in America, 95% products fail. This is also an irony in the larger scenario where there are a lot of innovations are happening, but many of those ideas are not going forward, and they are failing in the market scenario. The number of startups which are lasting in a long run, almost like after 10 years, almost 65% of startups are not visible in this space, in the market space. And there are a lot of reasons which are like mentioned by different agencies. And one of the few reasons where we possibly have a look in terms of like how we can possibly improve in those areas. Many startups, almost 42 to 45% startups lack market demand. So in a long run, when they go forward, many times it happens that they don't have customers and they are struggling in terms of revenue generation or maybe making some good profit from the market. Almost 30% startups struggle because of lack of cash. So they run out of cash. Sometimes they are not able to generate a good amount of money from the market because of the poor take up. And sometimes they are not having those sort of like support to take up their ideas forward. So lack of cash is one of the major reason out after market demand, which is affecting our startups. The poor product market fit is one of the very interesting reason which we can look into when we will be developing our business plan. So 17 to 20% startups struggle in this domain, and they need to look into how the product market fit is to help them going forward. Failure to pivot is one of the reason, and one of the very interesting reason is scaling up challenges, where startups fail mostly. When we talk about business plan, uh, how we define business plan? Business plan is basically a document which helps you to present your companies or your organizations uh, different aspects in terms of objective, your goals, your strategies, and operational framework. How your organization is there, what they really want to do in the larger sort of like market domain, whatever strategies you have in terms of going out and maybe selling your products or establishing yourself in the market, and what type of operational frameworks are there. This is one of the very important sort of like aspect which comes into your business plan. On the other hand, business plan also helps you to create a roadmap for entrepreneurs and the business owners. So this document not only helps you to take your idea out, but it also helps you to guide through in terms of taking business forward. So it basically helps in decision making process. If it is rightly made and it rightly sort of like bring in a lot of like information, it helps you to take right decision at different stages and help you moving your business smoothly. It helps in communicating within the organization, how the communication should be there and how you can possibly convey your ideas to your employees, your stakeholders, your vendors, suppliers. The document will really help in terms of doing that activity. On the other part, the good business plan helps in attracting investors. It helps in raising funds. It helps in collaborating with like-minded sort of or needy sort of like collaborators, the organizations who can possibly support startup. It also helps in terms of building a long-term visibility and viability of the organization. So broadly, business plan works in three larger domain. One is the approach of the organization, how it has to go forward, and what type of ideas it is basically working on. How to execute different sort of like activities within the domain of business, and how to have a sustenance and growth in the long run is the idea of making a good business plan. Why we need a business plan? So basically to communicate our vision and strategy, to set goals and objective. So what type of objective we have, what we really want to do by doing this startup or the idea. Guiding and decision-making activities, identifying opportunities and risks, facilitating communication, supporting operational planning. These are the major sort of like areas where we need our business plan to help us moving forward. Yep. So in terms of startups, how startups need a more robust or more sort of like unique business plan is something which we will be discussing right now. So startups basically need a strong approach to business. Apart from the common business plan information, what is something which is their strength? What is something which they are bringing to the platform? How the startup is unique than the other uh, activities in the larger marketplace? Is the idea which has to be there in the business plan. How it is addressing customers' requirement. Possibly how our customers are looking for different type of solutions and how those solutions can be provided through the business activity is one of the idea that should go into the business plan. It may talk about the team because it is definitely going to be a very unique combination of the team which is working in the startup, and possibly unique aspect of the team can be highlighted so that people who are going through the business plan will be able to understand the benefits or maybe the unique aspect of the startup can go there in this activity. Outstanding execution approach, how it is different than the other organizations who are already in the space, how we can possibly bring in something which is unique about the organization in terms of its approach and outward sort of like strategies can be brought into a startup related business plan. Potential for investment, how investor can look into the organization, how they can take interest in different activities of the startup. This can possibly help in terms of bringing more fund, more sort of like interest from the investors in the organization. The competitive advantages can be brought in here, and we can possibly talk about USPs, which are part of the organization in terms of offering, in terms of unique approaches, in terms of innovations. Sometimes unique technologies or patents which are there with the startup can be highlighted here and can possibly create some competitive advantage among the minds of the people. Flexibility to adopt is one of the part which is very important in terms of startups, and that can also be part of the larger business plan. Who need business plan? Yeah. So it's a very important question that who are those people who really want a business plan to have there, who really want to look into what type of offerings we have. So there are multiple stakeholders who are going to take up this business plan, who are going to use this business plan in the long run. So first stakeholder or first sort of like user of business plan are the entrepreneurs or founders who are creating this business plan at the first place. So to get clarity about the business concept, what is the business idea, why this business is started, what type of USPs are there, what are our goals and what are our goals which we are basically following, and how we have developed our strategies to achieving certain type of success in short or long term sort of like basis. That is something which is useful for the entrepreneurs when they really look into the business plan. It helps in terms of decision making, tracking progresses, and seeing how business can grow. So that way business plan helps at the first place. It is useful for the entrepreneurs and founders to make use of it. The investors and lenders, most of the time, investors coming from different domains, maybe sometimes government funding agencies, sometimes funds which are available from CSR activities or social funds, the way we are looking into certain type of funds right now. In some cases, venture capitalists, angel investors are looking into business plan, and they are basically taking some clue from here and making their decision to either call you for a detailed discussion or sometimes taking decision in terms of giving you certain type of funding. So investors basically look into the details from the plan and try to create an image of startup, whether this is useful or whether it is going to be beneficial for them to invest in an organization is the decision which is taken from the business plan. To assess the viability and potential on return on investment is one of the idea which emerges from the business plan. So that way, it's very helpful for investors to understand what type of benefits there are if they invest in the organization. It also creates some sort of like image about the entrepreneur, what ideas they are taking forward, what type of objectives they have, and how it is going to be a viable sort of like outcome in coming times is the idea which is presented through a business plan. When you're seeking partnership, when you're seeking suppliers, when you're looking for collaborative agencies, vendors, these are the people who also refer to the business plan sometimes to get an idea about what type of products or services you're working on and what type of sort of like requirements are there in terms of supplies or collaborative sort of like associations. So in those scenarios, business plan help in terms of establishing those initial communications, and sometimes it is helpful in terms of setting up or maybe negotiating in terms of how we can possibly take up a collaboration. Employees and management teams most of the time rely on business plan to understand the company's vision, mission, their goals, how company is going to perform, how broader or bigger or maybe long-lasting vision they have, so that there could be more sort of like association possible with the organization in terms of employees and management teams. In terms of execution, also it helps in terms of looking into the responsibilities or expectations from individual groups or employees. Sometimes it also establishes confidence in the minds of the people who are part of the organization that how organization is going to grow. Government agencies and regulatory bodies sometimes require these business plans to understand your business idea and provide approvals in different situations. Many times you need licenses or regulatory clearances. In those scenarios, business plan help in terms of getting those documents cleared. Strategic partners and potential acquirers. Many times people looking for acquisition, many times mergers, many times some investors want to have stake in your organization. They usually take use of business plan. Yeah, is it clear? Am I making some sense? Can we have some response? Yep. All right. So is it relevant? Somewhere you are finding some sort of like relevance here. Akhilesh, yes. Okay. Nandish, okay. Yeah, I got your feedback. Yeah, thank you. All right. So who prepares business plan? Guys, can we have some discussion? Can somebody tell us who prepares business plan? Any response? Am I audible?
So for now, it could be the company founder or the, like
Yeah,
whoever.
Piyush.
So for now, it can be the person who is like looking forward towards its startup.
Yeah. So entrepreneurs, founders are the people who prepare this business plan. Most of the time they have the idea about business and they understand the nuances of it. So many times they are the people who are putting down all the information and try to create business plans, but it is not limited to those people. In some scenarios, you need business consultants to come in and help you to elaborate your business plan in terms of financial details, legal requirements, in terms of operational details, in terms of collaborative sort of like inputs. Many times consultants from different domains help you to frame your words in right manner, because many times it requires that the wordings should be in right manner, the details should be provided in uh, as per the need of the investors or maybe government agencies. Accountants and financial analysts are those who bring in information about financials of the organization. Many times it requires certain type of certification, and those information can be provided by these experts. Many times you take help of industry experts whenever it comes to specialized activity related to technology or related to processes or related to something which is done by vendors and which is not in your control or in your knowledge. So those information can be taken, borrowed from the experts from the industry. Definitely one should go through a legal advice whenever you are completing your document to look into details wherever legal or regulatory requirements are to be fulfilled, and business plan should be complete in that aspect also. So legal advices from multiple legal sort of like agencies. This could be related to HR, this could be related to, in some cases, the environmental conditions, or in some cases maybe special chemicals or special sort of like activities if it is being done there in the business activity. Those clearances should be taken. Yeah. Especially organizations who are dealing with defense organizations or healthcare uh, systems, healthcare services, requires multiple levels of legal advices to fulfill the product or service requirements. Marketing and branding professionals sometimes help you to improve value of your offering. Sometimes they provide you strategies to reaching out to the customers and the market. Sometimes they talk about how brand value can be enhanced and how brand can be created out of the given solution. And these people are really helpful. So you should be in touch with in terms of if there are specific domains which need to be fulfilled to be addressed by experts. You can possibly take help of those experts in creating a business plan. Key inputs in terms of business plan. What type of key inputs are there? Yeah, broadly, we are talking about the inputs which are part of the business plan, but in tomorrow's session, we will be discussing in detail about each input and how we can possibly frame those inputs. But today I'm largely talking about how the structure is there and how different information, preparatory information can be brought in here. So executive summary is one of the important part which talks about how, in a summarized manner, how a business is there and what type of information are there in the given document. The company description, it's a very creative sort of like activity where you can talk about company in all different aspects. Talk about how this company started, what is the story behind, what is the history behind, what type of problems you have encountered, and how this company has come to solve those problems. We can also talk about company in terms of its configuration, its offering, its genesis, its possibly way of working, and how it can possibly deliver different values. Yeah. Business plan also have market analysis, what is the market and how market is going to how you are going to go to the market and how market is going to respond to your offering can be brought in here, so that the stakeholders of the business plan or the users of business plan will be able to get more detail about it. Product and service line, what offerings you have, what type of products you are making, what type of services you provide are very crucial part of business plan. So more elaborate information in terms of product information, product USPs, product features, product possibilities in near and far future. could be brought in here. Organization and management is very important part of business plan. It talks about how big is the organization, how different structures are there in the organization, how management at different level functions, and how it can possibly help in terms of running of organization can be brought in as a very important activity in the section in the business plan. Marketing and sales strategies, how products are being sold, how market is addressed through different type of means is one of the important part of business plan. Financial projections in terms of how company is utilizing existing funds and how different type of activities which are needing funds in different stage of execution can be brought in here. In brief information in some cases, in more detail if it is going to go to investors or supporting agencies. Yeah. Funding requests, sometimes it's also part of business plan, and especially in case of startups, what type of funding requirement you have, because you're seeking funds, you are wanting people to invest in your organization. Sometimes you have to have more elaborate information about what type of funding requirement you have and how open you are about getting different type of funds. So those information can be brought in here so that the investors will be ready with their ideas, and whenever you are encountering them, whenever you are dealing with them, whenever you are negotiating, the plan will be ready and it will be helpful for you. Appendix can be brought in to provide more information about each section and the details in the sections. So this is the broader structure, but before making this business plan, we need a very thorough preparation. It cannot be possible that you have started working on some idea and you will be able to come up with a business plan. It's not going to happen immediately. So you need a lot of preparation in terms of how a business plan should be made. You need to collect a lot of information in terms of details of business activities which will be going into business plan. So according to sections, there are a lot of areas which need to be worked out. And these areas are mostly idea generation, how you have got this idea, what type of ideas you are working on, what type of concepts you have already made, what type of prototype or proof of concepts are there, what type of products you have already working on or you have made or you are selling in the market can go in this domain. So those ideas should be very clearly jotted down with all possible details which are required for a business plan to have it. User understanding can be very critical in terms of making business plan. Maybe you will not be talking about all aspect of user in the business plan, but having a great understanding of good understanding of user is very critical when you are making a business plan. So when it comes to understanding user, who is your user, in what conditions they are basically at this moment, what type of product they are using, and all those type of aspects can come here. We will be talking about this. Then market research is one of the critical area which need to be ready with when you are talking about making a business plan. Feasibility analysis is one of the important area which sometimes doesn't go as it is, but many times help in terms of building your user understanding as well as market research as well as the fund requirements to complete. Business model development, which is a back-end activity which is done by the internal team to understand how revenue is going to be generated, how business is going to sustain at different sort of like stage. This is not part of business plan, but that preparation is very, very critical whenever you are working on business plan activity. Strategic planning, how marketing, sales, and other activities are going to be in place. What type of staffing, what type of investments, what type of activities are going to be there. There's a very important back-end practice. The financial planning is also similarly important in larger context. So as you have gone through, many of you have gone through the design sort of like thinking activity. I'm bringing in this model, which is a very common model in terms of understanding design. Many times we feel that design is a mere aesthetic improvement activity. Many times we feel that design is all about fashion. Many times we think design is about interior design, how we decorate our house. So most of the time it feels that design is mostly working in the domain of creative expression. It also works in a very detailed sort of like manner in terms of understanding problems identifying right problems and solving those problems at different stages. So when we are working on the larger aspect of business planning and business plan making, the design somewhere plays a very holistic sort of like role in this activity. Basically, design talks about problem solving, and problem solving is not an individual activity. We are just talking about an idea which is solving certain type of problems, but it also looks into the possibilities, all different type of challenges and opportunities in a given situation. So here design really helps in terms of framing those questions and getting those answers in right sort of like manner. Design brings in creativity, innovation, future sort of like creation approach in a larger domain. So that way, sometimes it becomes very critical to understand and build a scenario for defining a business activity. Design is very purposeful. So whenever you have a challenge, whenever you are working on any business problem, one very interesting problem when we were seeing this video, that how teleconsultation can be solved. Maybe there are a lot of like activities which are very designerly in the process, and those activities can be framed in right manner if we follow this simple basic double diamond process. Yeah. Aesthetic functionality, outcome, how we can possibly present it in right manner, how we can possibly connect and rightly with our audience, what type of mode or what type of approaches can be brought in is one of the very important area where maybe you can take use of this approach. User-centricness, the contextuality of situation is something which is helped by this process. Whenever there are issues in terms of like collaborations, multidisciplinarity, the process helps in terms of bringing in more clarity and more collaboration. It's more a systemic approach. It's not worked in isolation. The idea of business plan making is very systemic in nature. You cannot be working only with the core creative team, or you cannot be working only with the operations, or you cannot be only dealing with one sort of aspect of business to create a business plan. And that is where I think more creative, more collaborative, more multidisciplinary approach is required. And that is why somewhere the designerly thought process is very critical in terms of making a business plan. Yep. It starts with defining problem, how you understand your problem, what type of problem you are dealing with. That understanding is very, very critical whenever you are making a business plan. Many times it happens we take up problems which are shared by us, shared by others to us. Many times we take up a problem which is faced by us. Many times we feel that okay, I have some issue with maybe train booking, so I come up with an idea of ticket booking platform. Sometimes I'm facing issue with maybe booking tickets in airline, or maybe getting food delivered. So these are personal problems which we have encountered, and some entrepreneurs have taken up those problems. Many times they are apparent problems. Many times they are deeper problems. Yeah, we need to understand what type of problem we are really going to solve. Yeah. So solving a right problem is very critical, and those right problem definition is very, very important to bring in whenever we are dealing with a larger business context. Many times startups fail because they are addressing to a problem which is not a real sort of like problem. They thought that problem is there and they should solve it, but ultimately the problem lies somewhere else. Those problems very quickly fizzle out, and you are left with no idea but to work with that apparent problem on. So understanding a real right problem is very, very critical whenever you're working on any startup initiative. Yeah. How we define those problems, how we take up those problems, how we understand those problems, how we bifurcate those problems and understand nuances of each subdomain of that problem is very, very critical. So identifying a right problem is very important, and that forms a very important sort of like structure of your business plan. Simplifying that problem in a understandable manner, in a solvable manner is very critical. The approach to that problem, how that problem is addressed, and what type of creative ideas or innovative ideas have been applied there is something helps in making a business plan better. And solving a right problem. If you are presenting a problem in right manner in your business plan, it sometimes strike or maybe occur to other person that okay, this problem is a real problem and we need to really look into those problems. So that way sometimes people understand what you really want to solve. And some of the examples, if you look into the screen, the light bulb problem. It's not that only one person, Edison, was working on the light bulb mystery. Almost 40, 50 years back, somebody invented this light bulb. Yeah. And they realized that by providing electricity, there is a possibility that filament glows, and that glow effect is a light effect, yeah, which is basically to be utilized as a light bulb. Yeah. But Edison was successful in terms of bringing in that sort of like solution in a more commercial manner. Flying is not taken up only by Wright brothers. There were a lot of like innovators who were trying to work on creating a flying machine. So idea of flying is a very, very old sort of like concept in human being. They have been aspiring to fly, and there were a lot of attempts by different type of innovators to address this problem. So identification of problem is very, very critical. But Wright brothers tried to get into the core of that issue, and they realized that okay, by doing some sort of like interesting sort of like combinations of machines, a object can fly. Yeah. So that way they came up with the idea by defining that problem rightly. Automobiles are very interesting example. So there were multiple automobiles made before Bertha Benz took a commercial ride by using a car. Yeah. So this was the first car, but the earlier cars, the earlier innovations were much, much ahead of this commercial model. Yeah, electric vehicles were much ahead of gasoline or petroleum product run vehicles. So that way, ideas are differently there. There are a lot of people working on idea, but how they are looking into the problem and how they are solving those problems forms a very strong sort of like basis for your business plan. Then comes the creative idea, how those creative ideas are there in your business activity, how innovative products are or services you are going to provide. So creativity is there in everybody's mind. We are creative in different aspects. We can bring in solutions and all different possibilities. But innovation is also very critical. When it comes to commercializing, whenever it comes to realizing that creative idea, that becomes a bigger challenge. So in terms of how we are reaching out, how we are solving those problems, those should be very interestingly jotted down and should be presented in our business plan. So what type of emerging needs we are going to fulfill? What type of unidentified needs are there? If there are some unidentified needs which customers are not aware of, and customers possibly will be willing to take up those ideas, are sometimes very interesting sort of like aspect which can be brought in here. What type of differentiation we are bringing in? Sometimes ideas are very common. You are working on something which is very, very me too sort of like activity, but sometimes approach to it, sometimes taking this idea forward in a different sort of like manner makes a difference, and you can create a great business out of it. Exceptional ideas are rare, but definitely people take up exceptional ideas and they create great business out of it. Those things should be jotted down in an interesting manner in the business plan. Effectiveness and impact of those ideas, benefit to the users can be brought in here to convince your investors or to convince the authorities who are going to go through your business plan. What type of benefits are there could be described in terms of commercial benefits, user benefits, or maybe the aspirational benefits which are fulfilled by the product or service. Whatever possibilities are there, these ideas are definitely good. A lot of people take up those ideas, but whether they can be produced, they can be realized is also one of the very critical idea which should be part of your business plan. Knowing your customers. So how deeply you know your customer, who is your real customer, either whether the buyer is your customer or the consumer is somebody else, yeah, which happens mostly in toys, which happens mostly in terms of capital goods, which happens in terms of defense equipments. In many scenarios, it also happens in the healthcare sector, that your user is not the customer. Your user is not your end user is never your buyer. So those type of challenges are very common. Understand who is your buyer, who is your customer, who is your user, and in what conditions, in what type of situations they are basically using your product. So having deeper understanding of why they will use your product or what type of needs they have which they will want to fulfill by your product is very, very critical. Apart from the first user, who is your direct user, who might be buying or sell, or maybe using your product, there are other users also which are very critical and very much ignored in larger scenario. Manufacturers, distributors, sellers are also one way users of your product. If they take interest in your product, then possibly your product will be taken out, you will be manufactured, or will be possibly taken to the customers in right sort of like manner. We face a lot of problem, especially in new products. Whenever they are put in shelf, you will find that your salesman is not able to explain your product rightly. Sometimes salesman or the distributor is not interested in your product because you are giving lesser margin to them. Sometimes they don't have great idea about how this product is going to work, and lack of training, lack of interest sometimes lead to product failure. What type of problems customers are facing, what type of issues they are, what type of challenges they are facing. Tata Nano is a great example of like what type of product was really required and what was it in the real scenario. So many times people are not facing problems of cramped sort of like sitting, or maybe four people driving in bike. They sometimes don't need a car. Sometimes they don't have aspiration to buy a car like this. Sometimes their problems are much, or problems can be solved by something else, maybe a second-hand car. So many times, understanding what type of problems people have and whether they really want to buy a poor man's car is a big question. You need to question them before you really go for a business plan making. How those problems are solved at a present situation. So Tata Nano's replacement was a second-hand 50,000 rupee car. In a lot of cases, the ticket booking sites are having agents who are solving those problems easily. In a lot of scenarios, the products which we are using at our homes are supplemented by something else if those products are not there. So that way, washing machine was earlier the requirement was fulfilled by the household helps, but washing machine, when it came into scenario, it really solved a lot of problem. So there were a lot of alternatives which are already there for our problem solutions, which we are going to present in the given situation. How we are adding value to their life, how we are adding value to possibly through our product is very, very critical. It need to be coming into your business plan. What value your customer is seeing through your product. Sometimes they are seeing value as a cost benefit. Sometimes they are seeing value as a feature. Sometimes value is aspirational. Sometimes value is a dire need in terms of some critical equipments. So those values should be presented rightly. And based on those values, sometimes your other stakeholders look into your product and take interest. Why they will buy your idea if they really want to buy. So understanding that concept is very important and can be part of your business plan. Yep. So understanding larger context, and this understanding also helps in terms of building a better sort of like approach to your business. We call it DFV, desirability, feasibility, viability, which is a very larger context, which helps you to establish your idea in right manner, establish your product in right manner, and see through your product how it is going to go into the market and how it is going to be a viable product. So many times, especially designers, I work very closely with designers, so I know how desirability is such an important sort of like domain. Lot of time we rely on what idea we have, what type of customers we are going to deal with, whatever insights we have in terms of our customers, and we just start making those products. Sometimes we feel that a product related concern, if it is solved, that product is going to be a successful product. If users are responding that this product is really required, that means we are really successful. These are the broader sort of like notions when it comes to great ideas by the innovators or designers. Yeah. So we focus more on user concerns. We look into what type of user scenarios, user pain points are there, what type of value perception they have, and how those value can be created or can be provided to the customers. We really look into what type of desirability aspects in terms of outcome, in terms of shape, size, or maybe features, or maybe packaging in some cases. So by meeting all these requirements, we many times try to fulfill desirability sort of domain. And many times we feel that a product which is made rightly can go straight away go into the market and can be a great sort of like success. But which is one very small part of it. Whenever it comes to a desirable product, it has to be feasible also. Feasibility brings in a lot of like challenge related to production in a right sort of like manner. So a great product should not be great cost to the customer. A customer always will be choosy if it comes to cost. So even if they are giving you feedback that product is really good, I really want this type of product, I will immediately buy this, and this will be a great success. These are all possible only when it can be made in right manner. So engineering, technology, operations, working solutions are very, very, very critical. It's not only that a great product, a great prototype will become a great product. Yeah. So many times creative ideas doesn't go very well when it comes to when they come across a shop floor and try to see those products made in right manner. So cost of, if it is a low volume product, production cost will be very high and you will not be able to save a lot of money, lot of margin will not be there. When it comes to maybe complex technology, then possibly acquiring those technology or using those technology will be difficult. If it is a costly material, it's going to impact your sales. If it is going to be a very complicated process or maybe very highly skilled people required or very high sort of like investment required to produce that product, is a deterrent in making that product feasible. When it comes to going into the market, yeah, this is very common sort of like problem faced by engineers and designers both. Yeah, whenever they come up with a great sort of like idea, great technology innovation, they bring in a drone and say that, okay, this is going to fly much higher and it is going to carry your product. You don't find a taker. People say, okay, right now courier guy is doing this job. So I don't need your product. In some cases, people reject your product by saying, okay, I have a lot of other alternatives. In some cases, you also see that there are good number of people willing to buy, but cost is very high. Sometimes you realize that product is really required in market, but profit margins are very low because next possible product or next competitive product is available at a very low cost, yeah, very low price. So sometimes you are not able to grow rightly and you are facing challenges in terms of sustaining your organization. There's also a very important viability concern. So irrespective of how market has responded, if you are not able to grow your business rightly, you will not be able to sustain for long and you have to close this business. There's a viability concern which need to be worked hand in hand with desirability and feasibility. So that way, economic concerns related to scalability, related to production, related to making good profit, related to sustaining in a right sort of like business context is very critical, which need to be prepared well before you write a business plan. Yeah, I hope this is relevant to you. Maybe you have gone through this model earlier, but look at from business plan perspective, and you will find that this brings in a lot of value when you write a business plan. Understanding your market. Yeah, this is one of the very important area. I'm again sharing a lot of like, I work very extensively with MSMEs in terms of promotion of design in MSME sector. So I was heading a project from NID and we were having funding of good amount of funding, almost like earlier first phase funding of 50 crore rupees, second phase funding of 150 crore rupees. And this project was basically to promote design by providing designers to MSME and make their products better. So in a lot of scenarios, it happens that right understanding of segmentation, targeting and positioning, a very basic management tool, which is many times ignored by innovators, designers, engineers. So this tool helps you understand what is your market, how you identify your market. Basically, segmentation helps you to understand who's going to buy your product. In the larger pool of customers or maybe people, you can target to very few people who are really going to buy your product. Because of the cost, because of the features, because of the usage, because of maybe some or the other reason. So, this is very, very critical sort of like domain to look into. Then comes the targeting, how you target those segment is very important and detailed sessions are possible in this domain, but you might have gone through this in detail. But This domain basically helps you to understand, to identify your market, what is your larger market, and when it comes to defining your market, how you define your market and what share you will be able to take up from that market comes from your TAM, SAM, and SOM. I saw in the video that this exercise has already been done. But it's very creative exercise, I would say. It's not a management tool. It's a very creative tool. You need to apply your mind from multiple perspectives. It is not only from the management perspective or financial perspective or maybe economic perspective, but also look at from innovators idea point of view. That how the larger market should be seen, how you identify your customers, how you basically relate your idea with those people, and how you see a larger serviceable, obtainable market in a given situation. So these tools basically help you framing your market understanding and deriving your market strategies. So if this preparation is right, then that section, the market strategies will be rightly filled up and will be able to create a good impact in the minds of investors. Designing business model. You have already done this exercise also. I saw this in your presentation that some of you might have gone through this. Business model is again a very creative exercise to be done by the innovators, to be done by the founders, the entrepreneurs. So it helps you, it's a very internal exercise to look into how revenue can be generated, how you can possibly earn money through different activities. And the larger section talks about, on the two sides, the section talks about how value proposition is there in terms of any product or service. So how you define your value for the customer, how your product is valued by your customer. Value is a different thing. It's not just cost or price of the product, which is seen by the customer. At same situation, two same products are sold at two different prices, all because of value perceived by the people. Luxury products are sold at much higher price because of aspiration. The mandatory or regular products are sold because of the utility, and people see value through those segments. So how you identify your product value or feature or maybe benefits for your customers is very important in this domain when you do a business modeling. How a company creates that value through products and services. Identifying key activities and operations to create those value for your customers. So how you manage your operation, how you build your facilities, how you basically make those products come out, a service to be delivered to the customers, are very critical, important channels which need to be brought in into business model. And determining the cost structures and resource allocation. How you are investing money to get something like this done. How you are going to invest different different type of activities. How you are going to invest or how you are going to allocate your resources is very critical one part of your business model. On the other side, your customer outreach, how you are going to deal with your customer, how you are going to lure them, how you are going to convince them, how you are going to service them, how you are going to retain them, is very important part of business model, which is framing your approach towards your business activity in the business plan. Establish key partnerships and collaborations. So those are important part of execution and how your product is going to be taken up in the market. So how your vendors and others will be basically helping you to take up these activities. So your collaborations will decide how effectively or efficiently you are reaching out to your customers. Identify revenue streams and pricing strategies. So this is a very important part which goes into financial sections and how you are going to generate revenue from the market and how you are going to price your products. It's a very critical part of your business model. So business model is very important tool to make your approach right when it comes to business planning. Decision making and outreach activities. So how you take decisions when it comes to critical points in the business, that comes into business model. Yeah, financial decisions for the business activity. Yeah. So financial decisions are very important. You have to have good preparation before you start making a business plan. What type of financial decisions are usually required to be taken in a business scenario, in a startup scenario, are like these. Fund required for establishing the business, how much money you really need. You don't estimate every fund which is required at one go. So you have different stages of like fund requirement, and accordingly you have to have some estimation that what time, what type of amount, what money you will be needing. So those funds are to be clear in your mind to establish your business. Fund required for running the business. So it is not only to establish, to create a business, but also to run the capital fund, or maybe fund which is required to be helping you run through till the time you start getting a good sort of like revenue. These fund estimations are very critical, and this is required by the investors to understand what type of planning you have. Fund required through internal sources, how you are going to generate these funds. So on one side, you are seeing that these are the expenses which you are going to incur in terms of establishing and running your organization. How you are going to get those money. So maybe in some cases you are putting your own hard-earned money. Sometimes you are borrowing from your friends or relatives. Sometimes you are looking for some early investors, donors, sometimes funding agencies, government especially, to support your idea, and you don't need to pay them back. But this is not very long-lasting sort of like approach. Sometimes you need external support, which are more long-term and more demanding also. So those ideas should be very, very clear that how much money you will be needing. You should not be taking too much of fund, and you should not be short of it after raising one round or second round or third round. So that way, those understandings should be clear, because it's a very painful exercise to raise fund, and you cannot be putting in your energy all the time to look for more funding or more sort of like support. Yep. So funds utilization and management is very critical. Your investors want to see how you're utilizing your funds. So how you're basically managing your funds, how you're basically spending on different activities, and how you will be economical in all aspects. There are a lot of interesting case studies where people talk about how fund utilization has caused either benefits or maybe sometimes really great sort of like pain for the organization. Sometimes they have not been able to sustain because of poor utilization of fund. So many times good funded startups have gone down all because of poor management of money. How you will generate revenue is one of the very important domain which are looked by the investors or the funding agencies or the lenders. So in those scenarios, those details should be very, very clearly jotted down, and that preparation is very critical at the start of this activity. Profitability and growth projections are also required to be presented in the right manner. So profitability, how you are going to achieve, in what time you are going to achieve, how much profit you will be able to earn, how you are going to increase your profit margin, or possibly scale up your production or distribution or maybe sales and get more profit, are the ideas which investors are very interested in looking into. Business plan can have those details. That's it. Growth prospects are very important for investors, for your partners to know. In terms of growth, how organization is planning to grow in future, how they are going to establish and sustain their business. That is the first step towards the growth of the organization. So how establishment is going to happen, and how sustainable sort of like model is going to come in the startup scenario is very, very critical and has to be conveyed rightly. So sustenance is the first step where you can plan and you can think of expansion in the business. How you are going to add value to existing product, business, and customer services. So when an organization is running well and the product is established, a lot of time these factors are ignored by the innovators or the founders, and they try to they sometimes miss out on how value is going to be added in the products which are already established. So many times this helps in terms of like sustaining your business and growing your business in a good manner. Adding value to existing product which are already successful is a very, very important area to be looked into, and that should be noted down rightly. In terms of services, a lot of time people, investors especially, are interested in knowing how you are going to reach out to your customer who have already taken up your product. So in terms of customer services, in terms of repairs, in terms of reaching out or maybe collaborating with them to understand or get their feedback, or their future requirements are very, very important to have in the document. Expansion, diversification, acquisitions, mergers, collaborations are very important part, and those projections are also critically to be prepared before making a business plan. So many times there are a lot of like potentials which are visible at the initial stage. Many times it is anticipated in certain way, but there are no sure shots or like idea of like how it is going to expand. But many investors or funding agencies are interested in looking into how expansion or growth of organization is going to happen in near future. Uh, Many scenarios, innovators are not able to understand how brand is going to be created out of the product. So this activity, if it is planned early, the bigger benefits can be taken from the product idea. So brand creation, network expansion, new product innovations should definitely be brought in the exercise, and this preparation will help you to possibly uh, make your approach better. So coming to the last sort of like slide of the presentation, here we are going to talk about how different domains are there. So these are the earlier parts which we have discussed here. Is uh, basically about the preparations which we really need, and a good preparation will definitely help you in terms of making your plan better. So these preparations are already happening in a lot of scenarios. You are already working on these areas, but having a conscious approach towards these and having a detailed documentation on these domains are definitely going to help you in terms of making a good business plan. So is it clear? If we are okay with this, then possibly we can have a quick discussion on this, and then we can discuss about the structure, and then we can take up the question answers for next half an hour. So can we have some responses? So can we have some idea about the uh, users? If you just talk about user in your business scenario, how do you define your user? If it is to be taken up in your business plan, can somebody respond to this?
According to you, like users in what sense? Like how we will identify
Who
our
are your
user?
users? Who you are targeting to? If you have a product.
Okay.
So can we discuss about some of the product ideas which or business ideas which have been taken up, and then we can possibly discuss this.
So I can share about like what I am working on.
Yeah, Piyush.
So basically, I am making a web platform where deaf and mute people they use sign language to communicate with normal humans,
Yeah,
and most of us don't understand the sign language, like what they are showing and telling. So
absolutely.
I, I made a platform which have a translation section using machine learning and
Mm.
computer vision. It will translate the hand signs made by them into the text format, and our text will be also made to an hand sign using an avatar.
Okay.
So this is basically what my platform do. And with that, we have more features like calling and scheduling a meeting like this, in which
Okay.
also there will be that hand sign detection will be enabled so that they can use mobile phone more easily to
Okay.
communicate.
Okay.
Yeah.
So let's say if you have to make a business plan, how you will define your user?
So my direct users will be the person with disability
Yeah,
for
so
the deaf sector.
disabled people who are disabled, who are not able to possibly interpret
Yes, sir.
sign language, are the one of the first users.
Yes, sir.
Any other user?
Um, NGOs.
Okay, very good.
Then other can be the institution for the deafs and mutes, like
Okay,
where they got to learn about sign language and other things.
yeah. Any other user?
That people means that person's relatives and other.
Okay, yeah.
Basically, I have that much in my mind.
Okay, so as per my understanding, going
So,
through this conversation, what I understand, if you really define your user, there are a lot of users which are going to use this device. I'll
yes, sir.
share with you one of my personal experience. One of student in my class, common course of almost like 150 students, we came across a person who was not able to who was not able to hear and to speak, and she was relying on some of the transcription softwares. So
Yes, sir.
anytime if she has to attend the class, she has to use a device, a microphone, basically a headphone, and that headphone is basically transferring all the voice to the mobile phone. She is able to see the transcript. So whatever I'm seeing will be visible on screen, on her screen, and she will be able to understand what is being discussed there. Yeah.
Yes, sir.
So we came across this problem, and right now we are working. So me and 2 or 3 students, we are working on a problem which is basically to make these devices established in all institutions. So what we are trying to do is like we are making a prototype right now, and we are trying to see how we can make a device which can possibly be installed in all auditoriums and classrooms, so that any person with such disability will not face such challenges. So in auditorium, we can possibly have a screen, we can have a system which can capture all the voice which is there in the auditorium and get it transcribed into the system. And so by looking into, apparently it looks like it's a problem of somebody who is a disabled. But
Yes,
as per our understanding, it is a universal problem, and it is a problem of every institution wherever, if you have anybody who has such type of requirements, and when we are talking about equality and accessibility and all, so in those scenarios, those devices actually become mandatory for all institutions to have. Okay?
yes,
So
sir.
in your scenario also, I feel it's a very important product which should be there in all institutions, irrespective of whether there is a disabled student or not.
Yes, sir. True.
Yeah. So that is one of the bigger user of your product, and you should possibly look into features which can be more adaptable to institutions, common institutions like schools,
Yes, sir.
colleges, universities.
Yes, sure.
Second, possibly corporates could be your one of the very important user in this
Yes, sir. They
scenario.
can mainly use our meeting platform for that. Their talking and other things.
Okay, yeah. So that way, when you just expand your idea and try to look into users, there are a lot of things which fall into the larger domain. Then later you possibly can do your STP, and you can possibly look for a more precise market. But I really feel that your product is a universal product which is a requirement of large number of like institutions and organizations, and can go very well wherever people are talking about inclusivity and inclusivity in terms of disability and all. Yeah.
Yes.
So any other product? So if I can take names and I can call members
Hi,
here.
sir.
Yep. Yes. May I know
Hi,
your
sir.
name, please?
Sir, my name is Sai Tarun. Sai.
Yeah, Saitar. Yeah.
Sir, our project is very smooth. It actually basically the bus tracking uh, system.
Okay.
Actually, there are so many colleges and colleges, and we can say there are some companies too who provides the bus facility to their in institutions. There will be the students, or in companies there will be the job holders, etc. And there are so many places where the tracking facility is not yet provided to the students or the job holders, I mean the users. With our solution, they can find the location of their buses and have some patience in them that they can find the exact location. And this
Okay.
is the basic problem as well.
So why do you think that this problem has not been solved so far? Let's get into the problem definition.
Okay, sir. Okay, why this is not solved?
Why it is not solved? There are a lot of
Have
tracking devices. Ne? Trucks are mostly the organized truck sort of like firms
fleet,
where
yes, yes,
fleet
sir.
is
Fleet
there.
management,
So
yes,
fleet management
but we
softwares are there.
focus
Trucks
on,
are monitored. Even they can monitor driver activities also.
sir.
So
In my Hyderabad, I'm actually from Hyderabad. There are
hmm,
150 plus colleges, and there are a few colleges who have 70 plus buses. Even those
yes.
colleges haven't providing this service. Haven't providing this service. My college have 28 buses, not providing this service. Total 1,000 students are using in my college, and
Okay.
overall Hyderabad city itself, there are so many lakhs
No,
of
I
students
understand.
using.
The problem
And
is very big.
uh,
But I'm saying why
yes,
this
sir.
problem has not been solved. Is it the real problem or there is
Because
some
there
other
is,
problem which need to be solved?
sir, they are using the normal traditional way of WhatsApp sharing, which is
Okay.
not organized and it's not practical. They're relying on that one. I'm personally a user of my college bus. I face lots of problem with that one.
Yeah.
So I come up with this solution.
Okay. So what is your solution?
It's basically an application. We provide the live locations via GPS systems, that is GPS trackers. We attach the GPS tracker to the buses, and
Hmm.
our application basically provides the live location of the trackers.
Yeah.
And that, yes, sir, this is the basic.
Yeah. So it's a very interesting problem. Ideally, it's a
Okay,
problem which need to be solved immediately whenever it comes to public
yes, sir.
transports in all the scenarios. So when you have
Sir.
a metro train tracker, you can come to know at what stage any metro to any station is there. You can very
Yes, sir.
easily track a metro and you can possibly plan your journey accordingly. Same way buses should be done. But I really
Yes,
feel
sir.
this is a very interesting problem which need to be solved. But
Yes, sir.
I also want to understand how this problem should be defined in such a way that why it has not been solved so far. When there are so many devices, when there are so many possibilities by using mobiles, by not using mobile but a dedicated device, there might be something which will define your problem in such a way that people will take interest in looking into the solutions. Yeah, so there might be
Yes, sir.
cost issues, there might be maintenance issues, there might be the subscription issues, there might be network issues, there might be usability issues in terms of product not very usable, or might be security issues, or might be some issues of users in terms of they never want to be tracked, and that is why they discourage. So there are a lot of
Okay, sir. One of the
possibilities which
reasons.
need to be, yeah, which need to be addressed in the problem. But my idea is like if you define that, then possibly your proposal will be very very strong. Your plan will emerge in a very strong
Yes.
manner. Is the
Yes, sir.
idea which
That,
I want to share here.
sir. We have conducted a survey with the college itself. We went to the college management and asked that this is the big problem. Why the management is not trying to solve this is the main
Yeah.
reason we got that one, the development cost. Every college,
Okay.
their management have to develop their own site. So either they have to be using some third parties developed one, or they
Yeah.
have
Yeah.
to develop their own. And they thought that they haven't thought in a way that it should be solved. For sure, it's be solved. They're saying that the thing we have to develop will take lots of cost, so we kept aside. And the second one is it's going. Even we have even the functionality is not provided to the students, but it's going right. Right? The day is going right. So we haven't kept a lot focus on that. But
Yeah.
as a student perspective, I have come up with this.
No, no, it's amazing problems how you have taken up. I think it's a very genuine problem faced by multiple people,
Yes,
and especially when it
yes,
comes
sir.
to young kids, the monitoring and
Yes,
tracking is very very critical. So a lot of like
yes, sir.
lot of
Parents want to see.
yeah, a lot of possibilities there. Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Anybody else? So guys, you
Hello,
you
sir.
you, huh?
Good evening, sir.
Yeah,
Uh,
Rishad.
Okay,
Yeah,
Ishina, go ahead.
oh, I'm so sorry.
please go ahead.
Good evening, sir. I'm Inchana. I'm from CMR University, Bengaluru. So my problem I identified was these days parents are busy working every day and cooking meals for their kids are very difficult. So you know the importance of homemade food and how nutrition plays importance in the kids age before 18 years. It plays a very important role. So we came up with the idea where we identified the problem that first of all the kids are not interested in having healthy food because they are not attractive and they don't seem it very tasty. So we have come up with a solution where we make the healthy food affordable and with the packaging designs, with the colorful packaging designs, we are making healthy food direct delivery to the kids' doorstep or to the school directly, so that parents don't have the trouble to cook every day. And we'll provide the healthy meals and track their nutrition with the nutrition fact, whatever it is. And we make healthy food attractive by bringing their favorite character in their meal box by telling story. And when we did a research, we got to know that by having fruits intake first, the glucose spike will be reduced. So we have done the meal box in such a way that we have created levels in a way that kids will eat the fruits first and then the carbohydrates. So the glucose spike in their body will be reduced. So this will help their health in a long run.
Okay. It's an interesting problem. I hope you are also launching in Ahmedabad.
Yeah, sure, sir.
It's a major problem in terms of like providing the right nutrition and the right sort of like food to kids, and especially in those scenarios. So you have defined your problem very interestingly. And your users, who are your users? Who you call your first users?
Our age users are from age group 6 to 9 years, and later we'll be focusing on the other age group. First we'll be focusing on this age group because kids watch cartoons more in this age group.
Yes.
So by bringing the storytelling and bringing those characters will be more easy for us.
Yeah. Definitely, yeah. So I think you in your scenario also I'm seeing a lot of users who are going to come in picture. Maybe the first users definitely the food eaters, like those who are going to consume your food and going to take interest in your food. But the most important users are parents who are going to give you orders and going to stay with you for a long time so that you can make good profit. Third, I think I see a great possibility in terms of school ordering your food.
Yes, sir.
Could also be your bulk sort of like ordering users and possibly give you good sort of like business. There's a great possibility in terms of like reaching out to schools and providing a more nutritious sort of like meal in a right sort of like manner. So, and then there are other uses also. Possibly, I'm seeing possibility to create a good network of suppliers who could be your parallel supplying sort of like users who could possibly be associated with you and can use your model to spread your business. Is also one of the very interesting.
Yes, sir. We are planning collaboration with the cloud kitchens because these days many cloud kitchens have been launched, but they are underutilized. So we are planning to have partnership with the cloud
Different.
kitchens in the areas to supply our food.
Yeah, definitely. So I think elaborate on your problem. What is the real problem? Real problem is it a problem of parents that they are not able to provide right food, or is it a kids that they don't want to have food which is prepared at home, or maybe the taste of food, or maybe the possibility is that food is not interesting, or is there any other factor which can possibly play in your favor? Can be explored in the process. Yeah.
Yes, sir. So the main problem is these days parents are not ready to cook meals every day in home because they're busy with their work and it's very difficult to maintain work and home responsibilities for parents.
Yeah.
So this was the main theme. In under when we looked after that, then we got to know kids usually prefer Domino's over any healthy food or any idli sambar or anything. So how do we make it make kids
So I
eat
think
healthy?
if you really want to expand fast, then you should include Maggie, pasta, pizza
Yes,
uh,
sir, we have
in
all
your
that.
menu.
Yes, sir,
We will
we
eat it
have all
first.
that which is made up of not which is not made up of maida with healthy
Yeah.
version of that.
All right. Yeah, so interesting. Work on it and then see how you can possibly bring in those factors in your business plan. It's very, very important to bring in the critical aspect of your innovation into right sort of like in right sort of like place in your business plan, so that uh, your the interested person would be able to go through it and will be able to say that okay, your business is really going to go well, and they should possibly support you, collaborate with you, or invest in you.
Yes, thank you, sir.
Rishad, you were saying something.
Yeah, hello, sir. I'm also from same University, Bangalore. So, my idea is like nowadays, safety has been a really big concern, and in India, it is not legal to use like most self-defense weapons, like guns and tasers and something else. The only self-defense weapon you can use is like pepper spray. But pepper spray is one such thing which people don't carry it every single day with them, along with them. But they do carry the smartphones, right? So we thought of integrating the pepper spray in the back of the smartphone. Just like you've seen like the latest iPhones, they have MagSafe at the back of them. It's a
Yeah.
very flat and sleek thing, so people carry it on the smartphone, right? So we also created a pepper spray. We call it PepSafe. We stick it at the back of smartphone. Actually, the size is a universal size, so it can it can be attached to any smartphone, making it accessible for people, to carry it everywhere. Because you can't say when you will need when the need of using it arrives, right? So
Okay.
that's the whole idea.
Okay. So how do you define your problem?
So the problem is like how do I say it? Like
So
for example,
problem is of sprays design, or problem is to remember every time you have to carry it.
yeah, that's the thing. Like most, because these incidences don't happen like every now and
Yeah.
then, right? It's a very once
Yes.
in a blue moon type of scenario.
Yeah, yeah.
But at that time, people might not be, carrying that thing, and even if they carry, they'll probably keep it in the bags, right? So it will be very difficult to take out of the bag and spray it. By that time, the attacker must might do something. So, but if it attached at the back of the smartphone, people usually carry the smartphone in the pockets or the hand, so you can just spray it out of the out of your smartphone. And the design is such that it will be flat, like just like a pocket perfume, like a sort of thing, and it will
Yes.
have a safety mechanism to prevent accidental sprays. And once you unlock the safety mechanism, it will pop out a trigger button, and when you press the trigger button, just like you click a selfie, a jet of pepper spray will shoot out of the back of the smartphone from the Pepsi, giving the user the critical seconds to escape or save their lives.
Absolutely. No, it's a good idea that if you attach anything with smartphone, you will be carrying it all the time. It's a
Yeah,
simple logic.
yeah,
I think you have worked on
yeah,
very interesting sort of like combination. So your first
yeah. Thanks.
sort of like idea to attach it with the mobile phone is really great. I
Okay,
think the
thanks.
problem statement, possibly your problem domain could be not only in terms of safety equipment or safety device, but also
Okay.
consciousness about the safety. I think that is one of the
Yeah.
biggest driver, where it keeps
Uh,
telling people that they need to be safe and they have to be cautious. Yeah. Whenever there are such situations, whenever they are alone or they are the women who are facing some challenges or maybe situations which nobody has anticipated. Yeah, any person can come across something like
yeah.
that. So I think that awareness will possibly be much bigger sort of like benefit to the society than the addressing the problem maybe in one or two scenario out of 100. So that way, I think it's a very good idea. But I think question framing, we can possibly see how you can frame this question. How you can possibly associate it with the larger concern in the society. Yeah. How it
Yeah.
can possibly spread awareness among people
Got
about
it.
safety through this device could be possibly one of the biggest advantage. So the system which I was talking about in auditorium, the transcription system, a larger idea is to make people aware about such requirement. The common people who are able to listen and maybe able to hear and speak. Those people are not aware about the concerns of the disabled person. And sometimes we become overreactive, sometimes we become ignorant, and sometimes we don't understand what to do. That sort of like that awareness is also critical at other end, people who are not having such type of difficulty. So same way, I think here also the biggest advantage will be that it will create some sort of like sensitivity towards safety among the people. So your device, I think it's a great idea, but I think frame it in such a way that it becomes a bigger social sort of like
Yeah,
concern
exactly.
and solution. Yeah. Any other point? Anybody else who have very interesting idea? All ideas are interesting, no?
Yeah, sir, true.
Yeah. Okay, so to sum up, we'll be discussing tomorrow. So what we are trying to do in this workshop, basically we are trying to understand how a business plan should be created, how we can see a business plan. There are a lot of like templates which talks in a very straightforward manner. These are the sections which need to be filled up, and a business plan gets ready. But it's not so simple because of two reasons. One is the details which are required there need to be prepared rightly. Yeah. Which is many times it happens that the founders, innovators are not able to get through all the information in right sort of like manner. Yeah. So they don't have information available to them, and they're not able to make a right sort of plan to take it forward. Second is like even if you have a template and you are able to fill up those information, what information should go inside? Yeah, what type of information your consumers are basically looking forward to consume, to process, to agree to, and give you some sort of like support, either in terms of collaboration or funding. Yeah, so those ideas need to be going there in the form of right information. That is the idea, objective of doing this workshop. Yeah. So broadly, structure, if we talk about, there are multiple inputs which can go into a business plan, but you have to be very judgmental about what you really want to put in, so that your plan will be complete in terms of its information. Will not be having too many things which people usually don't want to see, and should not be too short of information also that people feel that it is incomplete or it is not usable. So getting information in appropriate manner, right manner, in right sort of like way, right approach, and addressing to the requirement of the business plan is very important. Which is why we are discussing all the details, the pre sort of like requirements to make a business plan. So in broader sort of like structure, you will find that executive summary is very critical. It need to be there in the business plan, which we will be discussing tomorrow. I'm just giving you an overview, and you can also think of any other point which is required in this structure. Maybe in some cases you can talk about technological sort of like inputs, or you can talk about special market requirements, or maybe regulatory information which are critical and is not included in this structure can be brought in there. So it talks about vision statement, which says about the organization's approach to business and how it is going to go further. It talks about company description. It talks about market research and analysis, which is your background study of market and how you're going to take it forward, the product basically. The unique value proposition, which is coming from your business model and your previous ideation activities where you are seeing a lot of value, which is to be provided to the customers. Technology and innovation, if you are working on something which is unique and which is your basis of your organization, can be brought in here in right manner. You should not be providing every information which might be very crucial for you to not to reveal. And you should not be short of information in terms of like people are not able to understand your idea because it's a very technologically complex product and need to be explained in detail. Product or service lines which are already existing or to be created in the business, the revenue model which is coming from again the business model exercise, the organization and management systems which are in place and which are going to run this business in a right manner, the risk analysis and risk mitigation approaches, how you are seeing different type of risk. Maybe your product is too common and somebody else can possibly make similar product when they realize that there is a company who is already working on this. Or there might be possibility that some regulatory concerns are there, people may stop you from doing this in future. So those concerns should be noted down and should be presented in right manner. And what are your strategies if those concerns are there? So teams and talent, what type of people are there, and sometimes it forms a very important part of your proposal. So that way structures are there, operational plans, marketing strategies, financial projections, growth prospects, sustainability and social impact, which you are going to create through your organization, funding requests. These are the sections which we will be discussing tomorrow, and we will be trying to work around the startups to make those plans more realistic. Yep. So is it clear?
Yes, sir, it's totally clear.
Yeah. And it is usable also? Hope you will
Yeah,
possibly
sure.
be able to use it.
Sure, sir.
So tomorrow we will meet again at 4:30 same time, and we'll start with this exercise. Before we close, if we have any questions, we can discuss.
Yeah, probably we have some few more minutes. We can absolutely discuss on that.
Yeah. So anybody who want to share some information or have some questions from previous slides, if you want to have more clarity on some of the points which I have mentioned earlier. All right, so if there are no points, then possibly we can close this session. I will type my mail ID and contact detail. If you have anything which you want to discuss, you can mail me or you can possibly write to me or you can possibly message me also. So I'm just writing here my contact details. Okay. This is my WhatsApp number. WhatsApp, and this is my cell number, which has got WhatsApp also. Yeah. Okay.
Okay. Thank you,
I
sir,
have
for
yeah. So I have two quick references. There are two books which I'll recommend you to go through if you get some chance and if they are available in your library.
okay.
Guy Kawasaki's Art of Start is a very interesting book, very easy read book, which talks about different challenges and different hurdles in startup and how to overcome them. So very interesting and there are a lot of videos by Guy Kawasaki which can be referred, and he talks about how different challenges can be overcome in the journey of startup. And the other book is about the Pocket Small Business Owner's Guide to Business Plans. It's a very simple book again. I'm recommending you these two books because they are easy to understand and easy to take reference for your own sort of like startup initiatives. So that way, go through this, and then tomorrow I'll recommend a few more books. If you get time, please read them.
Surely, sir.
Yeah. All right, so can we close the session?
Yeah.
Vikram, if you are there, you can just call off the day and
Uh, Actually, Vikram sir had some work, so he left.
okay. No issues.
So thank you, sir, for sharing your thoughts today. We will surely join tomorrow at the same time. And thank you, participants, for joining. Meet you tomorrow. Bye, guys. Good night. Good night, sir.
Good night.
Thank you, sir.